You canceled plans again tonight? Not because you're antisocial, you just can't face people. Your brain feels like static. You scroll mindlessly for hours but can't remember what you watched. And the weirdest part? You keep telling yourself, I'm fine, I just need more sleep. But what if sleep isn't the problem? What if you're not lazy or broken? You're emotionally exhausted. And right now, you're missing the quiet warning signs because they don't look like burnout. They look like you. Stay with me because in 90 seconds, I'll show you the #1 sign most people ignore until they hit a wall. And by the end, you'll have a 30-second reset trick that actually works when you're too drained to meditate. Let's get real. Emotional exhaustion isn't dramatic. It doesn't announce itself with panic attacks or breakdowns. It's the slow leak in your tire. You keep driving, wondering why everything feels harder, until one day, thump, you're stranded. I know this because 2 years ago, I hit that wall. I was productive, hitting deadlines, showing up, but inside, I felt hollow, like a phone at 3% battery, running on emergency mode. I thought I just needed a vacation, but vacations didn't fix it. Here's what finally helped: recognizing the invisible signs before the crash. And today, we're covering 7 of them. But the third one, that's the silent killer. It masquerades as being responsible, but it's actually draining your emotional reserves without you noticing. I'll explain why at the 6-minute mark, but first, let's talk about your body, because emotional exhaustion always shows up physically first. You just might not be connecting the dots. You think exhaustion is mental, but your body screams it first. Not with dramatic symptoms, with whispers. That 3 p.m. energy crash that coffee doesn't fix, waking up after 8 hours of sleep feeling heavier, a tightness in your shoulders you've just gotten used to. Last month, my friend Sarah told me she'd had a headache for 3 weeks, not migraine level, just a dull pressure behind her eyes. She blamed screen time, but when I asked, when was the last time you felt light? She froze, couldn't remember. That's the clue. Emotional exhaustion lives in the gap between I should feel better and I don't. Your body isn't broken, it's protecting you. Those whispers, they're your nervous system saying, we've been in low-grade fight or flight for months. Can we pause? But we ignore it. We pop ibuprofen, we push through. Here's what to watch for this week. Do you sigh heavily without realizing it? Not a dramatic sigh. A quiet, automatic exhale when you sit down or open your laptop. That's your body releasing trapped tension. It's a tiny red flag waving, I'm carrying more than I can hold. And if you're nodding right now, good. Awareness is step 1. But here's where it gets sneaky, because sign number 2 makes you think you're thriving when you're actually depleting yourself. You crushed your to-do list today, answered every email, showed up for everyone, and yet when you close your laptop, there's no satisfaction. Just this flat, hollow feeling, like you ran a marathon but forgot to eat breakfast. This is the productivity trap, mistaking busyness for fulfillment. Emotional exhaustion hijacks your dopamine system. You get a tiny hit from checking boxes, but it vanishes instantly. So you chase the next task, the next notification, the next win, hoping this one will make you feel alive again. But it never does. And this leads directly to sign number 3, the one that kept me exhausted for years because I thought it made me a good person. But first, quick reality check. When was the last time you did something with 0 outcome? No Instagram post, no networking value, just joy. Coloring, staring at clouds, dancing badly to one song? If you can't remember, that's not laziness. That's emotional exhaustion stealing your capacity for play. And it gets worse, because when you lose play, you lose your emotional shock absorbers. Which brings us to... This is the silent killer I promised you. Ready? You have 0 tolerance for minor friction. The barista misspells your name, and you feel a flash of rage. Your Wi-Fi stutters during a download, and your chest tightens. Someone asks a simple question when you're already drained, and you mentally snap, can't you figure this out? Here's why this matters. Resilience isn't about handling crises. It's about absorbing life's tiny bumps without crumbling. When you're emotionally resourced, spilled coffee is spilled coffee. When you're exhausted, it feels like the universe is conspiring against you. Last winter, I cried because my favorite soup brand discontinued a flavor. Not cute tears, I'm talking full-on sobbing in the grocery aisle. And I knew then, this wasn't about soup. My emotional tank was empty. I had no buffer left for life's 1% irritations because I'd been running on fumes for months. This sign is dangerous because we blame ourselves. Why am I so irritable? But irritability isn't a character flaw. It's a symptom. Like a fever, your system is overheating. And if this resonates, brace yourself, because sign number 4 is even more insidious. It makes you question your relationships. You love your friends, you want to connect, but after 20 minutes of conversation, you feel drained. Not bored, drained, like they're slowly siphoning your energy. You start avoiding calls, texting back hours later, making excuses to stay home. And the guilt creeps in. Am I a bad friend? Am I becoming a hermit? No, you're not broken, you're depleted. Healthy connection recharges us, but when you're emotionally exhausted, socializing becomes labor. Every "how are you" requires performance. Every laugh feels manufactured. You're not withdrawing because you don't care. You're withdrawing because you have nothing left to give. And this leads to the 5th sign, which looks like laziness, but is actually your brain's emergency brake. But first, try this now. Place your hand on your chest. Take one slow breath. Not for mindfulness points, just to feel your heartbeat for 3 seconds. That tiny pause, that's you refilling a thimble of your emotional tank. Do it 5 times a day this week. No app, no timer. Just pause. Now, let's talk about why your motivation vanished. Sign number 5, your why disappeared. You used to care about your work, your hobby, your cause. Now, you go through the motions like a robot, not because you lost passion, but because emotional exhaustion severs the thread between action and meaning. Sign number 6, you're nostalgic for no reason. Scrolling old photos at 2 a.m., suddenly missing a job you hated. This isn't sentimentality, it's your psyche craving a time before the drain started, a subconscious SOS. Sign number 7, you feel guilty for resting. You finally sit down and immediately reach for your phone to be productive. Rest feels like stealing. Why? Because exhaustion rewires your brain to believe stillness equals failure. If 3 or more of these hit home, you're not failing, you're human. And here's what no one tells you. Emotional exhaustion isn't fixed by more self-care. Bubble baths won't fill a tank that's been leaking for months. So what does work? Forget hour-long meditations. When you're exhausted, your prefrontal cortex, the part that does meditation, is offline, so we bypass it. Try this now. Stand up, shake out your hands like you just touched something hot. 10 seconds. Take one sharp inhale through your nose and a long, slow exhale through pursed lips, like blowing out a candle. Say aloud, "This is enough for now." That's it. 30 seconds. Why it works? The shaking discharges trapped nervous energy. It's a somatic reset. The exhale triggers your vagus nerve, slamming the brakes on fight or flight. And the phrase, it interrupts the "I should be doing more" loop that keeps you drained. Do this 3 times daily for 1 week. Not when you remember. Set a phone alarm labeled "Reset." You'll notice subtle shifts, less static in your brain, a flicker of lightness. Remember that number 1 sign I teased at the start, the one most people miss? It's this. You stopped noticing small beauties, the way light hits a wall, a bird's song, the warmth of a mug. Exhaustion narrows your world to threats and tasks, but when you start seeing beauty again, that's your tank refilling. You made it to the end, and that means something. Your brain didn't click away because part of you knew, "I need this," so honor that instinct. Do one thing today. Text one person this video with, "This felt like it was about me." Not for clout, for connection, because exhaustion thrives in isolation. And that text, it's you building a lifeline before you need it. If this resonated, tap like, it tells YouTube this matters. Subscribe if you want more no BS mental health tools. And watch the next video where I break down the 3-minute ritual that rebuilt my emotional resilience after burnout. It starts with a pen and a post-it note, and it's weirdly powerful. You're not broken. You're not lazy. You're human, in a world that demands superhuman stamina. And today, you took the first step back to yourself. I'll see you in the next one.